with a headdress that might have pikes, spins, whatever you want to call it, in there. Those are just going to go into his eyes. And you can just basically do that, you know, just to make it worse. Remember when I told you about actors? Now, say you've got your knitting with you. Or, just one other thing. Now, he has left the lower parts of your hands open. We're going to turn this and see what's going on. The reason I'm letting a lady do this is because there is no way I'm going to be able to put something down there, because it's not there. Basically sidestep as much as you can, just wiggle back and forth as much as you can until you get an open spot. This is called ego claw. Go down, okay, you let go. You're going to grab hold, crunch in. Remember what we showed you to do earlier with the hand? Yeah, you're going to do that with this. And then you're going to, oh, look at that! This fellow is looking very uncomfortable. I will say you've survived longer than most, because usually about this time, most of the men are out in the hallway going, "Ooh, you still there, buddy?" Now, another thing you can do now, remember, the number one thing that women have to deal with is robbery and rape. Two things. If rape, guess what? They got to stick it out sometime. How many ladies here have ever had a problem getting ketchup out of a bottle? Raise your hand. Get the ketchup out of a bottle. What did you do to get the ketchup out of the bottle? You grab hold of the ketchup bottle, you went. When they bring it out, you grab hold and go, "Come on, Heinz!"
And push it.
After about the third time, they'll black out.
Anything,
Oh yes.
anything which is firm may be fractured. Medical knowledge for the day. Anything that's stiff can be fractured.
To give you an idea of what human teeth can do. That's what regular human teeth can do. And something tells me I've just put a whole bunch of guys on oral sex. You bite into it. Remember, at this time you didn't have STDs like that to worry about. You didn't have AIDS. You did have gonorrhea, you did have other things. But we're talking bite and just skin. Thank you. So what you're doing is, you are going against the most strong part of a man. And you are tearing into it with everything you have. The idea is that if you do enough damage, you either black out, you'll die, or he'll leave you alone. At the very least, his compadres will all be laughing at him the rest of his life that he's got his ass kicked by a woman.
And not attacking because they don't want more of the same.
Yeah. And that's these. Sorry that poor lady left, but remember, this is what one of these knitting needles can do to an aluminum can. Imagine right into a person's heart. And if it's just knitting needles, you could just say, "I had my knitting out, this person attacked me, and he ran into my knitting needles." And they're going to think it's death by misadventure. Utilization of caught things like that might be to hand. If you were on the street and have a hot cup of coffee, you've got to throw the steaming cup of coffee or tea in their eyes, then use that cup, whatever it is, and pound them in the face with it. Yeah, you'll lose a cup. You'll be alive. Now, here's where we get something more interesting. Some of you may want to character is adventuresome, but may have to deal with someone trying to strangle you. So what I'm doing right now, I am tensing the muscles in my throat. This will buy you time. Now, if it's a wire, you're kind of screwed. Because if you turn or do anything, you'll cut it further in there. Ladies, that's why you have these high collars. Gentlemen, wearing a high stiffened collar, some of them used to be reinforced with heavy cardboard, others used to be reinforced with metal because it was easier. Now, Who wants to try and strangle me? Volunteer for the audience?
I'll give it a shot.
You will be? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Put the stuff down there. You can move it. Okay. First things first. I've tensed my muscles. Second, I've gotten this through there to give me some breathing room. Third, I've turned. I'll start breaking things. Or, well, if you can get your fingers all the way in there like this, then, sir, you might want to let go and step back. Because then, dropping like this, the person, your weight will pull them down. The simplest way, though, is, as long as you've got it tensed up, it's not wire, you've got a knife, stick it in him, in his stomach, and up. Remember, the weight of a man's heart is through his stomach and up. So what you're going to do is, you're going to go like that. Now, ladies, would you like to come here? She's one of these things. Okay. What are you going to do? Tense up your neck muscles. This comes up. Okay? Now, next. Get your fingers in. Get yourself breathing room, literally. Then kick and do whatever you need to do. Stomp, slam your head back, do whatever you need to do. If it's rope, try to turn toward your assailant, because that way the person's hands are like this.
Space.
Yeah, I'm not trying to actually kill you. See, the thing is, if we're trying to take out a sentry, okay, usually there's a knot in here, and that comes in first. Man, you might want to step out of this. The knot would be right here. I'd come in and then push down. Now,
Is it the breathing or is it the blood
you
flow?
break the trachea.
Yeah, but is it the breathing or the blood flow that's going to make you lose consciousness?
It's actually a combination of both. Now, if you do it properly, you see right here and here, there are two arteries. I have done this before in demonstration. I'm not going to do anything now. But basically, I've got a person here and held them until they passed out. Now, if it is done by the airway being obstructed, as soon as they get air, they'll come to. If it's done by constricting on the arteries, they'll be out for about 15 or 20 minutes. But there's a very close margin between that and killing. The only reason I was demonstrating that is because, as I said, I was at the 138th Military Intelligence Battalion, and what I was teaching was sentry and counter-sentry operations. And that was part and parcel to taking out a sentry. We said, if you want to try and take one back as a prisoner, wait till they black out. If not, just let them die. Now the thing is, remember, a sentry will have a weapon of some sort he can use against you. If you've got a weapon, like a gun or something else, as long as you've got the breathing room, pull out the gun and shoot back. Just shoot them. You don't have to fight against them, just shoot them. Take the gun up to the back, bam! Back of the head. Back of their head. Yeah, you'll get a little burn around the ears, but you'll be alive. Now, getting to the use of rope. Say you had a nice little braided piece of rope or something like this. There's another thing you can do with it. Now, anyone care to put out their hand and feel what that feels like? Okay? Now that's done like that. Yeah, you feel it. Feel okay? Now, another thing you do with rope. See what I'm doing? Remember I was telling you about protecting the knuckles? Yeah. This helps your knuckles. It may pad it a bit, but you're still hitting with the sternum. It keeps your knuckles from breaking. With this, you can do all sorts of things. Now, like I said, in Victorian era, it also depends on what streets you're on. There was a thing called Hojujitsu. It was practiced by the Japanese police. Now, would anyone care to try a downward strike while I have this? Okay. Just do whatever you want to do. This is how you can take down the police in Japan. And the thing is, my partner would be doing exactly the same thing on the other side of it. And so he would be down, we'd have you like this, and they would bring you up. And then the third person, who was part of the police, would grab your legs. And we would be holding you like this, we'd be holding you like a real girl. That's how you get carted off to jail. Now, you saw how this has been captured. Once it's been captured, okay? This is common practice at that time period in the South China Sea and Pacific Rim area. Remember, there was a whole lot more to the British Empire than just England and India. There was the Pacific Rim. All of these ideas were coming back. Remember, the French Empire was still an empire. And they had the people from Marseille, and they had the people that were doing kickboxing and everything else. All those things would be coming home by sailors who had to learn to fight for themselves. They would carry big knives, they had brutish attitudes, think of us, and they would have to fight to survive in different countries. Remember, in these time periods, you don't know what you're going to come up against. But you know this. How many people here came with someone? Raise your hands with them. Put your hands together and look in their eyes. What I'm going to tell you is the most important thing. Look at them and say to yourself, is this person worth doing anything to come home to see those eyes again? Is this person doing anything, worth doing anything to protect? Is the person that is assaulting me, is his life greater than, worth more than mine, or my person I'm protecting? The answer should always be no. There is nothing you won't do to come home to protect me. That's something that you have to get in the mindset of. Major thing of defense at this time period or any time is getting in the mindset that you have the ultimate value out here. That if somebody attacks you, they have no value. And that person that you're protecting, or that person who needs you alive in their life, is more important than any punk on the street. If you take nothing else away from this class but that, I have done my job. The idea is you will survive because you have someone worth surviving. Be it yourself, be it that person you came with, being the man that you're going to meet someday, or have already met, who's going to be jaggers, crying tears if anything happens to you. Or the woman that is going to have a heart of doubt and never come home. You have to be ready to do what is necessary to be the one who comes home. Some people make fun of police officers because they have a motto that says, yeah, but the good thing is we all came home at the end of the day. Pretty much that is what it's all about. That no matter what you do, whatever you're engaged in, that you survive. And everybody remember that. That is what is important. Now I'll open it up for Q&A. Any questions? Yes.
As to defensive measures, you mentioned blocks of forearm.
Yeah.
Was anyone ever asked to do that? Do that? Guarding the forearm.
Well, basically what they would do is, let me show you something. They take a length of rope. And it'd be tightened in. You see what I'm doing with this thing? Okay? And it would be pushed together where it's rope, it's cheap. It's basically a type of rope arm. They would run it up their arm. Other people would just have extra padding sewn into their sleeve. Some people would just wrap a piece of this around here. You think this is an old concept? Yeah. The Vietnamese, they would wrap up their bodies. So if they got shot, they could still keep going. They were fanatics. Fanatics is one of the things that you would run into, by the way, in the Elizabethan period. Be they revolutionaries, be they religious fanatics. Now, like I was showing this gentleman, what it basically do is you take a length of rope and wrap it around your arm, and it'd be under your sleeve. You'd have to, I will tell you that, for example, you see how much rope is here? You can do a braid, and then wrap the braid around you. But it takes a lot of rope. That is something under Hojujutsu. I also have a class that I teach on occasion on robo armor. And those of you who were here about 2-3 years ago for TeslaCon saw that I was doing rope armor and how to make rope corsets. Oh, by the way, men also wore corsets in this time period. They just didn't call them that. They were meshed steel, or they were steel bone, or they were reinforced whalebone. It gave them that manly torso look. More importantly, it deflected a knife. See, those of you who stayed get the good stuff.
So if you're going to establish a vertical to go between the stays.
Yes. Now, here's the thing: you go vertical to go between the stays, then you run into the rib cage. But here's the thing: they did the latest work. How many people have seen a lawn chair? The webbing lawn chair. Think about that done in metal. That's what's sewn into the vest. As a matter of fact, there's a fellow over here, I believe, that makes the reinforced type vest and men's corsets. That's some of the things that they work with. And quite frankly, you'll know this when you try to punch the guy in the gut, and all of a sudden you've got broken hand. Armor, that's it. Okay? So, any other questions?
You also got to remember, in the time period, everybody wore a coat.
Yeah.
And so you always we're used to not wearing coats all the time, but
No.
they always had, and they were wool, and so you had 2 layers.
And I've heard tell of metal plates being sewn into the lining or thick matted fabrics.
All of those things he was doing with rope, you could do with your first friend.
This is what the standard costume was made up at that time. Right in the world. And you notice it's got reinforcements already sewn into it. Because you're going to fall off course eventually. Now, in the time period for the great coats that they would wear, the wool, you don't have your cloak here with you, do you?
No, afraid not.
Okay. She's got a French Navy issue cloak. The wool is that thick. It is not like blanket wool. It's the hard.
How thick? Can't see.
Yeah. But it's
I couldn't see your hand. It was like that.
not that thick.
Thank you.
So that sort of thing built up. Like I said, they sometimes would have somebody sew a little extra batting underneath it to protect them for the arm part, but not near the elbow where they're going to strike. Now, it was also known, wasn't uncommon to have a copper piece sewn in, articulated copper piece, especially in the Orient. They use an elbow strike very, very effectively. Like I said, you got to remember, Victorian era is a lot more than just London. You had Singapore, you had Hong Kong, you had San Francisco, you had Shanghai, you had Richmond, Virginia, where you could disappear if you weren't careful. There's a place down there called the Tobacco House. It's an old tobacco warehouse. Before then, it was a place of rather noble repute. And during a fight that broke out, one of the combatants got himself dumped into the canal by way of an old drop that was still working. Bartender looked under, judged the 2 combatants, pulled a lever, and my brother went right the drink. Oh man.
Which would have been an open sewer back then.
In Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah. These places, if you weren't watching what you drank, you ended up on a ship out of town. Yep. That's why when you come off, you drank with friends. That's another safety thing. Safety in numbers. It's not just for swimming. You want to be with your friends. Large groups scare away small groups. They're thinking, nah, I'm going to go for an easier target. If you present yourself as a hard target, as you present yourself more trouble than you are worth, you will survive. And if push does come to shove, what I've shown you will give you somewhat of an edge. Here's the thing, they used to say about the small little mouse guns. Yeah, they're a mouse gun, but it will give you an advantage in the fist fight to follow. Plus, if you have a weapon that you totally discharged, you still have a big chunk of steel. Man, can I see one of your revolvers, please? Now, there's a reason they call it pistol whipping. Because after you expended this thing, there are several things you can do with it. You can use this as a hammer. More importantly, knock back, barrel into the throat. Their throat gets crushed. Thank you very much. So, questions? Well, I thank you for coming. My name is David Crawford, aka Dan Stormhawk, and we will be doing some classes tomorrow. That will be on Care of Your Leathers. We will also be doing coffee, Lifeblood of America. You will have to work for your cuppa. We will show you how they actually roasted the coffee, and we'll give you the secrets of why Starbucks really sucks.
Somebody just found me that night, used to walk over to the campus by myself. Usually nobody bothers me because they just walk. But somebody was found me and figured out what the fuck are you doing?
One of the first things that they will show you in modern day self-defense classes is if somebody gets up in your face, you go away! Yeah. Like I said, remember,
That was basically
you want to be the craziest person in the room. Now, of course, I remember a friend of mine, she name was Black Rose, she was valiant, and loved that woman. She had two responses to that sort of thing. One was the K-bar knife her father would give her, and she would threaten to change her dance card. She thought it was cute. She said, you better go back and get a friend. Along the lines of, yeah, I'm going to take both of these. So, you can, yeah, it's basically, they don't want to deal with crazy. You've got to be the craziest one in the room.
In the modern day, it also establishes that you did try to tell them to back off.
Yeah.
People are more likely to hear and come to help, or at least to know notice what was going on.
Back in the Victorian era, you've heard today that you should yell, instead of rape or help, you should yell fire. Never did that in the Victorian era. The reason is because when they came there and found there wasn't fire, they'd beat the crap out of you. Everybody would beat the crap out of you because fire was so deadly dangerous. Okay? Improvised weapons could be what's to hand from broken wood to throwing a brick at someone. Grab a brick, grab a stone. Remember, what took down Goliath? A stone.
Because he brought a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah. But it comes down to this. The biggest thing is your will to survive. Your will to be the one walking away from this. Whatever it takes. Be that person you're thinking about. Or if you're thinking of highly of yourself, to be the one that survives. To be the one to have the stories to tell your grandchildren about these things. Thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate it. If you like this one, let us know about it.